Hello, everybody, and welcome to Artist Talk. I am so excited about my guest today. I'm going to be talking to the legend, the treasure, Miss Freda Payne. We're going to be talking about her upcoming show at 54 Below in New York City, April 7th, 7 p.m. Get your tickets. You'll find all the information in the link below. Get your tickets. You don't want to miss a moment to spend with this legend, and she is that. She's one of our treasures. You might know her from her hit records, Band of Gold or Bring the Boys Home, but she is not a one-hit wonder. She is an amazing jazz singer. She is an actor, and she has a multifaceted career. I'm excited to spend this time with her so you can get to know her along with me. All that. Hello, Miss Payne.
Hi, Angela. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I've read so many things about you. So the first thing I want to know is, were you a child star? Did you start really, really early?
No, not written. I was not a child star. I started really, let's say, about the age of 17, a teenage child.
A teenager.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you go to high school of performing arts or did you go to conservatory?
They didn't have any of that. All my training, I either had piano lessons at home.
Hmm.
Uh, I took ballet classes. My sister and I, we both had ballet up until I was about 12. Like I started when I was like, 11 or 12, something like that. I took ballet for 2 years, and then I had modern dancing in high school,
Hmm.
and we had music classes in high school. We did have music classes, like choral work, stuff like that. And that was the extent.
Yes. So
Mm.
when you were doing all this piano lessons and ballet and I assume your mother was, schlepping you around to all of these.
Oh yeah, she was schlepping me around. I sang on the radio in a choral group called Don Large's Make Way for Youth, and it was located in the Fisher Building on the penthouse up at the top floor.
Mhm.
And we would have rehearsals like twice a week, like Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then Saturday we'd broadcast at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It would be broadcasted on like radio, but it was NBC affiliated, so it was national.
Yeah.
And I was in that for 3 years. I was from the time I was 14 till I was 16. And Don Large used to give me solos a lot. Another lady who was outstanding, she was a teenager too. She's about a year older than me. Her name is Ursula Walker, and she's still around. She still lives in Detroit. She never left Detroit.
Wow.
And he used to give her solos because she was really good.
Uh,
And then he gave me solos. So that kind of helped me a lot. I mean, that kind of like gave me more encouragement and belief in myself.
mhm. When you were doing all of that, did you see the Freda Payne we know now? I mean, were you thinking, I want to be a star, I want to be a professional entertainer, or were you just having fun? I mean, did you see it? Did you have a vision, or did your mother have one about your future?
Well, I'll put it this way. My grandmother, see, when I was very young, like in puberty, before I turned 12. This is when I was like 8 and 9 years old. My grandmother died when I was 10. But before that, she told because my mother at that time, when I was in my, you know, like, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, my mother was kind of worried about me because I was kind of a loner. I didn't show any promise of being anything, you know, great or anything like that.
Mhm.
And and once my grandmother said, listen, don't worry about Frida. Frida's going to fool everybody. That's what and this was before I showed any promise. You know
Wow.
what I mean? Like singing or, anything like that.
Mhm.
And my mother put me in ballet class when I was 12. That's what prompted her to do that. I was 12. And she
Mm.
put me in a ballet class along with my sister Sherry. Sherry was 10. And we studied ballet for a couple of years. And then after that, I started taking modern dancing because in high school they had modern dancing, and I loved modern dance. We had piano lessons at home because our mother hired this lady. Her name was Ruth Ann Johnson, and she would come to the house like once a week, and
Mm.
we'd have piano lessons.
Wow.
Me and Sherry, my sister.
Is that where you learned to read music? Because I read that you read music too. So,
I'm not as good. I was better back then, because it's like when you come right out of school, you're like fresh and you have everything down.
yeah, yeah.
That's why you have to keep going back and refresh your mind and refresh your memory. You
Hmm.
really do. It's like I'll equate it to uh doing a taking a DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles driver's license test, and I just had to do that recently to renew my driver's license.
Yeah.
And honey, let me tell you, I hadn't taken that test in a long time, and I got the manual, and I'm reading Honey, I failed the test 3 times.
No,
I
are
had
you
to go.
serious?
I'm not lying. I failed 3 times. I couldn't believe, and I had to go back and say, well, let me read this page by page, and
Yeah, yeah,
paragraph
yeah.
by paragraph. And I finally passed it. And I said, you know what? It just goes to show you, you think you know something. You think you have it all down, but it ain't necessarily so.
It ain't necessarily
The
so.
things that you're liable to read in the Bible, you gotta you gotta question it. Some
Yeah.
people would say, oh no, you don't ever question the Bible. But you know
Hmm.
what I mean? They wrote a song about it. I'm getting my license, by the way, because I passed
You did.
finally. And
Yeah.
I'm waiting on my license to come in the mail.
Okay. Do you think so you won a talent contest. So many talent contests today, right? American Idol, The Voice.
Honey, they got talent contest galore. And it's like nowadays, it's like talent contest on steroids,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because it's like much more difficult.
Yeah, it's more difficult than when you were on Ted Mac.
Yeah, I did Ted Mack when I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like it was the most important national talent contest. It would be equal to, um, I won't say The Voice today, but American Idol,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
American Idol or one of those shows,
Yeah.
where you have to prove, like perform, and look who came out of American Idol, Jennifer Hudson, Fantasia. Come
Mm-hmm.
on now.
Mm-hmm.
There's some good singers that came through there.
Yeah. What I love about it is you didn't win, and neither did they. So,
So it just goes to show you,
mm-hmm.
you just don't, let's say God has the last word.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
God has the last word.
Yeah. So I know Band of Gold. Most of us know Band of Gold. And Bring the Boys Home. You were a pop phenom, and also very much a hottie. And and I went back and looked at all of your Jet uh features,
Covers.
covers, and all of that. So of course you had the amazing voice and the hit records, but then there's the physical beauty that you still have, by the way. You're as beautiful as ever. Um,
Thank you.
then there's the physical beauty. How did you find that difficult to sort of live up to through the years, or
It gave me more attention. I mean, it kind of like it helped. I'll put it that way. I'll put it this way. It helped. It helped.
uh-huh.
Let's say they don't ask how you made it. They just say you made it.
Yeah, that's yes. So having done these pop songs and now doing Ella, I mean, like some people would think of that as a stretch. Now, from everything I know and read about you, I know that jazz has always been your thing. But when did you make the switch or decide I'm going to do my passion and do jazz
Well,
or
I'll tell you, I kind of like judged it by just common sense of, okay, I'm not 25 anymore. I'm not 35. I'm not 45. I'm not 55. I was in, I think when I first started doing Ella, uh, I was still in my 60s.
Mhm.
And when I got the call, because Ella died in 1996, and I got the call from Maurice Hines. Maurice Hines is the one who got me into doing Ella, period. I
Uh,
have to give him all the credit. He called me, and the year was 2004, and he said, Freda, uh, I'm getting ready to direct and choreograph a play written by Lee Summers. It's called Ella Fitzgerald, First Lady of Song. And I'm looking to book somebody to play Ella. And I know that you sing jazz. And when you sing it, you sound like Ella. And he said, would you be interested in doing it? And I said, I would love to do it. So this was Crossroads in New Brunswick, New
oh,
Jersey.
I love
And,
Crossroads.
and the year was 2004. So I did it in 2004. And then 10 years later, 10 years, he called me again and said, they want to produce Ella in Alexandria, Virginia at Metro Stage. And he said, would you want to do that one? And I said, yeah. I think it was like an 8-week run.
Mhm.
I said, yeah, and the money was a little better too.
Yeah.
And so we did it again, and everybody came. I mean, it was nice. Julian Bond came through.
Oh, wow.
Uh, Dick Gregory came through. The reviews came in, and the Washington Post gave it a rave review, of the whole play and me playing Ella.
Yes.
And then after that, we did it again. I think the last time we did it was in 2022 at the Malloy Theater on the campus of Malloy College in Long Island.
Mhm.
And I did it there. And after that, it was like this gig came up. The gig came up to do Ella, First Lady of Song, the play in Rochester, Michigan, which is going to come up in May. And we're going to be doing it there for 3 weeks.
Mhm.
And might as well say Detroit because Rochester is a suburb of Detroit.
Yes.
And we're going to be doing that in May going into June. And so I'm doing this little bit here that one night at 54 Below.
Mhm.
And Lee wanted me to do that, for particular reasons to promote it more.
Yes, because I
So,
mean, I would think Broadway is we got to get that on Broadway.
yeah, of course.
Yes.
Why not?
Why? And I hear you and Ella had a similar story that she was in a contest.
Yeah. She
Hmm.
got she what started her career was she was discovered when she uh participated in the amateur contest at the Apollo Theater.
Hmm.
She was 15, and it was an accident really because she wasn't supposed to sing. She was supposed to just dance. And when she got up there, she freaked out because uh, a, um, a dance duo that came before her were so good. She knew that she didn't even have a ghost of a chance to win with what she was going to do. And so she decided to sing. And when she sang, the audience loved it and she won the contest. And
Wow.
that's what started the whole thing.
Did you know her?
I met her. I met her back in 19, I think was it 79
Hmm.
in New York. And I was with my friend Faye Treadwell.
Hmm.
And she went and she said, Frida, want to go and see Ella? I said, I would love to go and see Ella. She was performing in the Empire State Building. They had a club downstairs, and she was performing. I don't think it exists anymore, but it was in the Empire State Building and was downstairs.
Mm.
And we went to see Ella's show. And afterwards, Faye said, uh, "Want to meet her? Let's go back. Let's go backstage to the dressing room. Come on with me." And she knew Ella.
Mhm.
And so we went back to the dressing room, and I was totally in awe. I was like, I mean, I sat down on a chair and the hair on my arm was standing up.
Oh my goodness.
And I said, "Oh Lord, that's my grandma."
Yeah. Mhm.
My grandma said, "Well, this is a spiritual moment, you know."
Yeah, yeah.
And that I met her. I didn't really get a chance to even talk to her because she and Faye were doing all the talking.
Mhm.
Because she knew it. She knew her.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget that moment.
And now you're embodying her in your
I
show.
never thought I never thought in my wildest dreams I'd be portraying Ella Fitzgerald many years later after that.
Yeah. Who
Yeah.
makes your hair stand up today? What artists that you hear today that would make your hair stand up on your arms?
Wow. Ooh, let us see.
Ooh! Yeah.
She can sing. She can't sing. She can sing.
Mhm.
Let us see is bad.
Yeah.
Who else? The other people too. Well, I do love Fantasia. When I saw the movie The Color Purple
Mhm.
and she sang that song, I'm Here,
Mhm.
I cried because it starts off saying like, I got my sister. I know she loved me, and I can relate to that,
Yeah.
because I know my sister Sherry loves me.
Yes.
She loves me to death, and I
Yeah.
love her too. But she lets it be known. But anyway, Fantasia's another one. Jennifer, of course, um,
Jennifer Hudson.
yeah, Jennifer Hudson is another one.
Mhm.
All these really good singers. There's so many good singers
Yes.
out
Yeah.
there.
Mhm.
Oh, let me see. I'm trying to think. Oh, that new girl, Samara Joy. I love her. I
Mhm.
say I appreciate the fact that she's brought back the appreciation of real good jazz singing.
Yes.
For her, it was Sarah Vaughan and of course Ella. But she's like a young person, and she's very young. She's in her 20s
Weddings. Mhm.
to come along and embody the spirit of true jazz singing and well,
Yes. Yeah.
doing it well, killing it.
Mhm. Those are great artists. So what can we expect on April 7th at 54 Below?
Well, I'll be doing my Ella repertoire,
Mhm.
and that's it. Now, if they want to at the end when I do the last encore, I might do Band to Go. Who knows?
Who
You got
knows?
to
She
keep
might, y'all. She might do
Yeah,
Band to Go.
that old saying, you got to keep the customer satisfied.
That's right. That's right. How does that feel when I don't know, how do you feel doing Band of Gold after all these years? Is it like, "Oh, I gotta do that song," or how do you
Yeah, yeah, that's part of it. You got It's like that's sometimes I feel like, yeah, I got to do
Yeah.
Vanagon.
Yeah.
But sometimes I relish it because you know what? Band of Gold has been a blessing for me.
Mhm.
Band of Gold changed my career. So I can't resent it.
Yeah.
I embrace it because I know even though Band of Gold isn't my exact cup of tea, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's the bridge that brought me across. You see what
Mhm.
I'm saying?
I
Brand
do.
of Gold was a blessing. It was the bridge that brought me across. It gave me recognition international.
Yes.
And the moment you say, uh, somebody will say, Freda Payne, who's Freda Payne? You know that song Band to Go? Oh, that Freda Payne.
Mhm. Mhm.
I get that a lot.
Yeah. As someone who, like, I had the pleasure of being in a long running Broadway show, right? And it's something everybody, that all of us aspired to be. We used to call it a government job. Oh, if we get one of those government jobs and we could be on Broadway a long time. But I always tell people there is a blessing of being in a long running Broadway show, and then there is a cost. Because, when it's done, you kind of have to reinvent yourself. You have to
Yeah.
you forget you can't take the driving test anymore because you forgot certain
Yeah, I
things.
see. I know.
But so having had this long career that you've had and having had all this success, we see the blessing. What would you say or something? What was the cost?
The cost,
Did it cost you anything being a pop star? Um, do you feel that cost you? What do you think?
it did in a way because like people thought like, oh, she can't do that. She's just a pop star, you know. It's like when I first matter of fact, when I first started doing the Ella thing, when Maurice first called me about doing Ella,
Hmm.
I remember, and I'm not going to mention a name, but it's a well-known name in the music industry, a female. And he was talking to her and he was telling her he was going to get me to do the Ella part. And she's a singer herself. And she said, oh, Frida can't handle that. She didn't know, but she didn't know about my jazz chops,
Yes.
but now she knows. But it's one of those things in the business, you just run into that in the
Yeah.
business.
You
Yeah.
get you get pigeonholed. People want to put you in a box.
Yeah, put you in a box like, oh, oh, because I remember when I remember one time when I auditioned to do um Duke Ellington's Sophisticated Lady,
Mm,
and I was auditioning for the producers. This was when they were getting ready to do the LA company, and because Phyllis did the New York company. Phyllis Hyman did the New York company.
right.
I love, by the way, I love Phyllis. I'm so sorry that she left us, too
Mhm.
soon.
Yes.
I loved her voice. But anyway, they were auditioning singers for the LA company. And God, this was back in the 80s, like somewhere. Was it in the 80s? Well, anyway, yeah, it wasn't. It was in the early 80s. And I remember I auditioned. I don't know I forget what I sang. Maybe I did Don't Mean a Thing, or maybe I did another. And then I was walking out, and I was actually outside. One of the producers ran out after me. His name was Manny Fox.
Mhm.
He was one of the producers for Sophisticate. He ran outside he says, Frida, I didn't know you could sing jazz like that. He says, I always thought of you as being a pop singer. And I thought that was so nice.
Mhm.
In the meantime, I didn't get it anyway. I thought I had it. When I got home, I said, I got that gig. That audition. I
Mhm.
nailed it. Honey, when I get home, I didn't get no call. And then I found out, guess who got it?
Who got it?
Dee Dee Bridgewater.
GD Bridgewater got it.
Yeah. Well, Dee Dee had the chops,
Mhm.
and she had no affiliation with pop or R&B. Her thing was jazz. And I think apparently they felt that more secure with her doing the role. But guess what? About a year later or less than that, I get a call from Oscar Cohen of ABC Booking out of New York, and he's saying, they want you to do the Vegas company at the Desert Inn, and it's going to be 8 months. And would you like to do it? I said, yeah, why not? So
Yeah.
I did that company. And then I wound up doing 6 separate tours of Duke Ellington's Sophisticated Ladies. And one of them was in Italy.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got mine.
You got
six,
yours.
6 separate times. I did the first and only national company. So, and then I did the first and the only um, national company of Jelly/Jam.
Did you? You played Anita or Mimi?
Grom Me Me,
Ami?
Grom Me Me.
Mhm.
And I did Grom Me Me. I was the first one to play the role, period, because it premiered. It was the world debut at the Mark Taper Forum here in LA in the
Yeah.
Music Center. And that's when I got booked by George C. Wolfe to do that role. So I was the first person to play Grom Me Me, period. And then I
Wow.
did it on the road, the first national company on the road for 8 months.
Wow. And Leslie Uggams just did it.
I know. I saw that.
Isn't that something? Wow, that's all of our legends and all of our treasures are still doing this thing that you love, that we love. You're still very much an artist. What do you credit this kind of longevity to?
Oh my goodness. Well, I would say right off the bat, I would credit it to God,
Mm-hmm.
my Heavenly Father who takes care of all of us. Um, Living a certain way, I'm into like my health. I also like, I like to be active. I like exercising. Um, I did yoga for 40 something years. I started in 1973 with Bikram Chowdhury. The hot yoga, I did that for years. As a matter of fact, I'm in two of his books doing the camel posture. But now, since I've had a knee replacement, and as you get older, I had a knee replacement, and that was in 2020. And now I've had both shoulders replaced.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't do yoga like I used to. I can do some postures, but there are others that I have to kind of like back up off of.
Yes, yes.
But I'm getting better, but I feel like I'm getting better.
Yeah, well, you're getting
It's
better.
like I'm not going downhill, I'm getting better.
Yes, you're going uphill.
I'm going uphill now. When I wake up in the morning, honey, I still feel those aches and pains.
But you
I
get
still feel aches and pains.
Yeah. What advice do you have for um, actors, singers, performers coming up today that are not necessarily, right out of school, but those of us who are still at it? What advice do you have for us in order to have that kind of longevity?
I would say take care of yourself.
Mhm.
Take care of your body, your health. Um, don't ignore, be more into health, period. Uh, Taking certain supplements that your body needs, because as you get older, your body needs more nourishment, I think, and better, you have to pay more attention to your health, period.
Do you have any regrets that you
Oh,
want to talk
yeah.
about?
Oh, regrets. I have
I
a
have a
few.
few.
but, but I mean, if I could go back, I don't want to talk about it, but I do have regrets.
Mhm.
If like you always think, if I had just done this or married that person, my life would be totally different.
Mhm. Mhm. I
Hmm.
understand that. I understand. 54 Below, you guys, at April 7th at 7 p.m. You are going to hear this lady do Ella Fitzgerald, and I'm so excited. When you did it, it was a musical. It had other cast members, but this one is just going to be you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that because when I do it in Detroit in Rochester, Michigan in May
Mhm.
into June, that's going to be the play.
Okay.
That's going to be the play, in costume, padded clothes, little tiny wigs, stuff like that.
Mhm.
This will just be doing like a one woman concert kind of thing, doing Ella.
Excellent. It's going to be such a treat. Whatever it is that you want to do with the rest of your career, may it all come to you. May it
Thank you so much.
all
Thank
the
you so
doors
much.
open that you want to open for you. You deserve it all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Payne, for taking the time.
And thank you for giving me the time.
Oh, that's it.